Seeking Wisdom Week 30, the Greatest Love Song, the Book of Songs, or Song of Solomon. Why is the Book of Songs present in the Bible? Well, unlike other books in the Old Testament, Song of Songs has nothing to do with holy history, law, the covenant, or prophecies. And God is not even mentioned in this book, nor do we know when the Song of Songs was written, who wrote it, or for what purpose. So why is this book included in the Bible? Even Judaism is highly debated on this issue. But by the year 90 BC, everything was explained when Rabbi Akiva gave the reason. This book describes a marriage between God and the chosen people. This book is proclaimed at the annual Passover celebrations of Judaism, but for Catholics, this book is of little use in liturgical celebrations. Just a few passages were chosen to be read on the feasts of Mary. The issue of the author and editing is actually very complicated, and many points remain in doubt. However, it can be summarized as follows. Some exegetes think the Song of Songs is a script written, presumably composed, for two male and female roles in response to each other, in the context of an idealized Palestinian land. Some others, on the contrary, do not see the scriptures in the composition of the poetry book, not even a fairy tale. For these people, the layout was too inconsistent because the book of poems consisted of many discrete short poems, unlike the other books that were written with a single subject matter by a single author. With these 2 points in mind, it makes sense to say the Song of Songs is the result of numerous collections that the author finally summarized after his exile. To compile this collection into what we read today, the author would have had to search for phrases that work together with many that are repeated many times, such as the Song of King Solomon, and chorus, appearing off and on, helping complete the book we read today. As for the time this book was compiled, the following hypotheses can be made based on the language and style of the writing. The oldest songs have been passed down orally among the people with the same writing style of ancient poetry. Some of the poetry came later with a noticeable influence from Egypt, Persia, Arab, and Syria, and many of the love poems contained in the Song of Songs have a subtle hint of prophecy. The dynamics of the book make it very difficult to date the poems with certainty, but we do know it took a long time to write. The belief is it was wrote from the 10th to the 5th century BCE, because this was a period when reflection on the revelation of the prophets had reached the point of maturity and was expressed in a very profound way. When you wonder what you can learn from the book of the Song of Songs, think about this. Any biblical topic has a research and exegesis process, and looking at this book in its entirety from the beginning to the modern era, the readers have been guided to read and interpret it in many different ways. The following are ways this book has been interpreted. So first, if the book is read according to the Jewish tradition, the Song of Songs was a parable of God's love for Israel. He is understood as the image of God or the Messiah, sometimes as that of Moses. The book of Exodus and the Song of Songs are always linked together. Hence, the Song of Songs is used during the Passover week of Judaism. He is understood to be God passing among his people, and she is an image of God's people, hidden in the clefts of the rock in the covert of the cliff. Later, from the 12th century onwards, Judaism went even further and regarded the Song of Songs as a crystallization of the entire Bible. Just as a he in the Song of Songs is a lover, with the roles of shepherd and God, through his work is revered by the Jews as shepherd of the house of Israel. The king leads the people and the God of the covenant who never forgets Israel. Every week, modern Jews graciously welcome the Sabbath, God's holiday, like a young man welcoming his fiancée lovingly. Historically, the Song of Songs has indeed played a huge role in deepening Israel's faith. Now, if you read the book leaning in the direction of Christian allegory, it reads like it is the basic exegesis of the tradition of fathers and mystics in the Christian church. Just remember, the basis of this tradition is the same exegesis of Judaism. Like the Jews, the fathers of the church understood figurative texts, giving the characters a role of purely spiritual significance. He was the Christ, and she was the subject of his love. The church, or the individual, the Christian soul. To summarize this book, let's look at a few points. First, he is the Christ who always loves his church, passionately with all the hearts of believers, especially those dedicated to him. This is the highlight of the content of the homilies and the signature of the fathers of the church, such as Origen, St. John Chrysostom, St. Ambrose, the Saints Gregory, John of the Cross, and Teresa Avila. Next, she is the church, the soul devoted to Christ. The fathers of the church, such as Gregory, the saints of Augustine and Bernard, relentlessly praise the incarnation as the marriage of Christ to his church. Then, I am black and beautiful, O daughters of Jerusalem, is the church purified by Christ, and as a result becomes beautiful, holy, and pure. Through images and words drawn from the Song of Songs, the mystery of redeeming love is deployed, creating a whole treasure of sacred books accumulated from the fathers of the church right up to the present day. And the affection between him and her is the image of the sacraments and the Christian spiritual life, as explained in the homilies of St. John Chrysostom and Ambrose. This dual mystery is for the laity, the apprentices, the monks, and the consecrated souls, who feel satisfied with the Song of Songs, for the words in it seem to express their own lives with God. And she is Mary's preeminent image. This vision dates back to the 4th century, but St. Bernard in the 12th century is a long-term contemplative of her image, and from there comes the immortal masterpieces, reflections, poems, and songs, which a large number of monks and lay people also use as prayers. In the history of human art, under the beauty of her, the beauty of Mary is a subject of inspiration for countless works of art, such as poetry, painting, sculpture, music, and drama. In short, the treasure of Christian art and literature has adopted the male-female, man-woman relationship model of the canticle to express a mysterious and covenant relationship between God and Christians. It can be said that the Christian vocation, whether that belongs to the church as a whole or that of the layperson, is a feminine vocation, whether the Christian is male or female, a love that accepts God's salvation and love. That is the reason the Song of Songs becomes a heavenly love that deserves to be considered holy and sublime. So these words can be used in the most holy places, monasteries and convents. So now if you read the book with an influence from the modern exegetes, you realize the Song of Songs has an intrinsic and direct meaning. This book does not skim over the human meaning of the love between man and woman contained in poetry, but uses it as a springboard, bringing the soul to divine realities. This love song in itself is a literary praise for male and female love, loudly speaking its magnificence, and the value of the basic meaning is not less than the sacred value that the story was previously assigned. In fact, male-female love was revealed in its finest moments in Genesis. Man and woman were originally the image of God, so before the fall of Adam and Eve, they love each other freely and equally. They live together and for each other, in a love that considers the flesh divine, that meets the divine in the flesh. This is seen as the message of this controversial book, a simple message, but so precious. In summary, this book cannot be limited to what the humans see. Although in the book of Song of Songs, there are a few paraphrases that refer to the land of Israel, some describing in detail the human body, but it also conveys the religious values and exudes a holy air. Because simply believing what we read, this book could be misconstrued as crude. But if we look beyond the words, we will see the true meaning of this book and fully understand it. In Revelation, from beginning to end, we know that man and God are two inseparable entities, and the incarnation of God as man is the red thread of the Christian tradition. Even before St. Paul, the writer of the Song of Songs, showed that the love between man and woman shows the truth of God's love for the people he created to please him. So to find the true meaning of the Song of Songs, you must connect the two signs. Nowhere in the history of the Church did anybody understand and love the Song of Songs more than Saint Therese. In her autobiography, The Story of a Soul, we see the great influence it had in the spiritual life of Little Flower, Therese. She was never an avid reader, and her understanding of the Bible was equivalent to that of the average French Catholic, and her knowledge of the Bible mostly came from using her Bible in liturgical prayers. But her traditional interpretation of the Song of Songs is perfect, simply because she has a soul sensitive to love, an eternal love. And on many occasions, Sister Therese used the quotes from the Song of Songs. We will include a few quotes and their meanings in the Story of a Soul. Song of Songs, verse 1, chapter 3. Your anointing oils are fragrant. Your name is perfume poured out. Therefore the maidens love you. The mention of the scent is an extension of the Latin text found in the Vulgata manuscripts of the Bible. Of course, Sister Therese was not interested in this. She focuses on the attraction of Christ. So what makes us ask if it is not deeply united with the one who captivates my soul? At the same time, she realized that she did not walk in solitude. I feel that the more the flame of love burns in my soul, the more I say, draw me. The more souls want to come near me. Those souls are more and more chasing after the fragrant scent of the one. Song of Songs, verse 1, chapter 13. My beloved is to me a bag of myrrh that lies between my breasts. Therese simply alludes to this phrase while encouraging Céline, her sister, to take up the burden that brings the kingdom of heaven, just as Jesus is a burden for Mary, a light burden, myrrh here being a sacrifice. Sister Therese once wrote, "If I have enough time, I would like to comment on the book of Song of Songs in this book. I discover very profound things about the union of the soul with the most loving one. Therese understands the Song of Songs in the traditional sense, that is to speak of Christ and the soul of each person, in which each of them freely and easily uses the text of the Song of Songs until it becomes a force that pushes people to deeper love, the love of God." Saint Bernard wrote, "If someone wishes to understand this work, the Song of Songs, let that person fall in love first. For if one does not know how to love, it would be a waste to hear or read this love song, because an icy heart cannot capture the flame from rhetoric. A person who does not know Greek cannot understand Greek. Or someone who does not pay attention to Latin cannot understand others when they speak Latin, etc. It sounds like brass clashing or squeaking squeaks to those who can't love." Yes, along with these words of Saint Bernard, Therese must have been a prominent commentator on the book of Song of Songs, because she knows how to love, or rather, she is a person of love. Thank you for watching. We hope you enjoyed this week's lesson. Please join us next Friday for a new video. The answers to this week's questions will be revealed in next week's video. Remember, every Friday, the Seeking Wisdom Challenge will be posted on YouTube and Facebook. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, or subscribe to our channel. If you have any questions, leave them in the comment section below. Thank you for watching, and we wish you a wonderful weekend full of grace and joy.